Hello everyone from Green Acres of the Ozarks. I've had a lot of questions about our greenhouse, and so I'm going to do some videos. So I'm going to do it in series because we don't have very good internet here, so it'll probably take me a long time to upload even the littlest ones. But I'm going to start with the wood boiler because that's what heats it, and I'm going to explain a little bit about how the wood boiler works, and a little bit about our house and why we really like this. Our wood stove is out here. This is our house, which is, this half is a log cabin, that half is an addition. The people we bought the house from didn't feel like they could put the pipes through the thick cabin wall or house wall, so we have a water heater in that part and we have a water heater in that part, and our electric bills were just sky high. So our wood boiler is hooked up to, and I will show you that later, to the hot water heaters and the furnace that's in that part of the house. This house has a little propane ventless, and it has an earth pump underneath which also heats our guest house. And so this is the wood stove. This wood stove, let me back up here, is homemade, but you can buy them. A good place to buy them is Dodds Brothers if you live in Missouri or Arkansas. They're right in our backyard. They have a website and a catalog. I believe it's Dodds Brothers Supply. They'll mail you a catalog. They also have good homesteading. They have tools and all kinds of stuff. Gardening, I mean, everything. And their prices are very reasonable. Their wood stoves are very reasonable. One thing I want to say about a wood boiler is you want to stay away from stainless steel because they crack and the average person cannot weld on them. And you want to stay away from these newer ones that you got to put all these chemicals in. Our wood boiler is self-contained, so there is no rust inside and corrosion because there's no air inside. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, this is the wood box. I have to use this hammer to get her open. Okay. Okay. I'm not a professional photographer. This is the wood box where we put wood in. We only have to put wood in the morning and in the evening. Some of these nights when it got down past maybe 15, he was getting up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning and putting wood in, just because we really don't want the greenhouse to have problems with the greenhouse. But he probably wouldn't have had to, but anyway. Then there's an ash drawer down here. You clean the ashes out. Okay, and then surrounding the wood box, you can see this line, this circle around. That's the water jacket. It's full of water. And we need to build a house around this. We haven't done that since we moved here yet, but so we insulated it. And since we insulated it, we go through a lot less wood. But anyway, it's pressurized. The water in here in this jacket is pressurized. And then it runs through. There's a fan. There's a fan that runs every once in a while. The fan will kick in. It's a squirrel cage fan. And it will kick in and, you know, make the wood burn. And then there's these pumps. These pumps bring the water to the house and back from the house. They're circulating pumps. They don't use much electricity at all. The house is kind of a little bit gravity flow, but the greenhouse isn't. We have a pump in the greenhouse. Okay, and the water runs through the PEX lines. These go through the house. That one there, the one on the other side, goes to the greenhouse. Now each of those pipes, one's a return and one's to, and one brings the water back to the stove. Each of those pipes are insulated with this foam and then put into that sewer pipe. And we just drilled the holes through the cap for all that in the water, so that runs up to the house. You can kind of see the line along through the snow. Okay, so I'm going to go on this side, and this is where it goes to to the greenhouse. So the greenhouse, and I gotta go around the wood pile. Okay. So we just dug these lines in by hand. Well, we used the blade on the skid loader and stuff like that, but you can see the line runs right down here to the greenhouse. And so this is why I started doing this, because there's so many people moving to the Ozarks that want a homestead, or anywhere that want a homestead. And it's good to think about these things ahead of time, because if you centrally put that wood stove to run everything, like our shop is way up there, so we can't do it with the shop. So he'd eventually like to put a shop back here, a small one. But anyway, you want to think about where you put your wood stove, because you could heat a chicken coop, anything you want. So the pipes come up here. The sewer pipe ends down in there, and they come up to this pump. These are called tackle pumps. They're Grundfos is what we like. The Grundfos pumps are the best. We've been using Grundfos pumps for years and years. They last a long time. They don't use very much electricity. I have plans to hook this to a solar battery charger pack if we have no electricity, and we'd have a different hot water pump in case we had to. We could run this greenhouse without electricity. So the pipes go up and around down to my box. Now I've got a 20 by 4 foot box in the 32 foot greenhouse, and the pipe runs around the box. We've seen people put it in the ground, and then you got a farm in the ground or garden on the ground, and I don't see that working. The only drawback to this is it does dry the soil out a little bit, but it's not that big of an issue. We put the boards on the side so that the plants won't get burned by touching them. And me, when I'm gardening, they get quite hot. You can't really hold your hand on it. And they run all the way around the end of the box and come back up here and go back up. Now, we just were running the greenhouse off of that in October and November, and we kept it very warm in here. But we decided that if we really got a cold snap, that it wouldn't do it. And so we added this heater. It's called a hydronic heater. It's like a radiator inside, and it has a fan on the back, and we have it plugged into this thermostat. Right now the thermostat is set to go on at 55 and shut off at 65. When the sun comes out like this today, this unit will not run. It doesn't even run steady at night when it's really cold. We have a 7-degree low night coming up here this week, and I plan on coming out here during the night and just seeing how much it's running. But this also does not take that much electricity, and I could run it other ways. Then we added this barrel to water my plants, and a pump. We have a little pump on it. The pump is hooked up to, there's a solar battery pack outside. And I know this doesn't have anything to do with heating the greenhouse, but now it does, because I didn't want to water the plants with ice cold water. So we hooked this up. There's a line, it runs through the barrel in a loop and goes back up there. He made me a little thing so I can make it colder and hotter so the water isn't too hot. But this barrel, you can stand right here, I can feel the heat coming off this barrel. So it is heating also. And I also have 3 barrels over here that I filled with water ahead of time, so when it was really cold I wouldn't have to drag a hose in here to water. So we're contemplating running a line through these barrels as well in the future. And so that would just be less that this fan would have to run. And so that is how we heat our greenhouse, and it stays very warm in here. I mean, I come in here, I have to take my coat off immediately. It's beautiful to come in here when the sun, when there's snow on the ground and it's cold outside, and you come in here and you can see the plants, and it's just like a whole tropical world. Hubby said we should put a couple tropical birds in here or something. But we got potatoes growing over here. I'll go over all that in another video because this is getting long enough. Thank you.